Bless their hearts, this is what JD Vance is making the MAGA grifters defend now.
JD Vance believes in demons. Let me tell you something. Many more intelligent people than you or I or JD Vance, for that matter, have believed in demons.
More intelligent than JD Vance? Low bar, Michael Knowles. The real question is why this generic right-wing shill is trying to sell us on demons? Sadly, this is MAGA's attempt to bring young people back to the church. Let's explore why. I'm Amanda Marcotte. Welcome to Standing Room Only. It's 2026. We have a space station, vaccines, and microchips in pets. But our vice president now shares a belief with the 1693 Salem witch hunters. Demons are coming to curse you. Weirder yet, he said this when he was asked about UFOs.
You haven't been to Area 51 yet.
Not yet.
Some
not
people
yet.
say they keep the UFOs in Ohio.
I don't think they're aliens. I think they're demons anyway, but that's a longer discussion. When I hear about sort of extra natural phenomenon, that's where I go to, is the Christian understanding that, there's a lot of good out there, but there's also some evil out there. And I think that one of the devil's great tricks is to convince people he never existed.
I can't say for certain that a Yale-educated cosmopolitan lawyer like JD is only pretending to believe in demons. But I will say it's a convenient thing to claim right now, and not just because he has a book coming out about religion. Demons are a hot topic with MAGA.
Our enemy is not Joe Biden, it's Satan from the gates of hell.
I challenge anyone to tell me there aren't demons among us.
Any person reacting in that way is possessed by a demon.
I watched K-pop Demon Hunters. Really, the two main heroes of this are either demons or part demon.
You're a clinical psychologist. How has that helped you as an exorcist?
It's helped a lot. To be able to discern the difference between someone who is really seriously mentally ill and has a demon is important.
But if he takes her back, it's not just her he's taken back. It's also the little demon that lives in her butt.
I mean, I guess butts are where you store your demons. Why is this happening? One reason is that the satanic panic of the 1980s never really went away. It flares up periodically, especially when Republicans are feeling political stress. If the GOP needs to rally the Christian right, demon talk always helps. But also, devil, Satan, and witchcraft have been on trend with the larger public for a few years now. It's all over pop culture. You got your K-pop Demon Hunters, a mega hit kids movie that MAGA is clearly mad about.
This anime-adjacent movie has even topped The Notebook, which just goes to show where our society is headed. I think the K stands for Korean. Is that right, Brie? It's Korean pop.
Oh, please don't ask her what she thinks J-pop is. In music, you've seen chart toppers like Sam Smith, Kim Petras, Sabrina Carpenter, and Lil Nas X all play with occult imagery. At the box office, it's everywhere. The Conjuring movies, Ready or Not, Weapons, Long Legs, Bring Her Back. I definitely texted a friend of mine who is a horror movie fanatic to look at a list. If you want to grab the attention of young voters, you could do worse than talk about demons. As we covered last week, JD may be losing his edge with the podcast bros. But there is a lot of Gen Z interest in witches and the devil. I'll talk about this more and pass the mic with my guest, Taylor Lee. She's an ex-evangelical and practicing Satanist. Professional right-wing influencers are exploiting this interest in the diabolical to recruit young people.
What do you have to say to Christians that are in compromise doing New Age practices?
The Bible's very clear on this, is that there is no mixture between Christ and Baal. Witchcraft is the same as, it's a rebellion against God.
My spirit was so unbelievably disturbed this night in Vegas that I was sick. I was looking around and I felt like God had, given me different eyes to see things. Instead of seeing people, I was seeing like demons everywhere, like literal demons.
Demons are real. They get in your head and they get you to do evil, horrible things. The same people who don't believe in conspiracies also don't believe in demons. Well, conspiracies are real as fuck.
I can prove to you right now, and I mean, this is 100% pure proof that Pride Month, all this gay stuff is demonic. You want to know how? You can't spell Pride Month without demon. PRIDEMONTH.
I have to say, Satanism kind of seems fun, except I don't like praying to anybody. Doing satanic practice cuts into my yoga time. You see, MAGA has a problem. They desperately want to believe there's this big religious revival among Gen Z. Fox News runs so many hilarious segments claiming that there's this big youth stampede back to the church.
So Gen Z is leading a surprising faith revival.
This church is packed at every mass I've been to with young, enthusiastic people.
So Bible sales are up. We don't know if it's because of the Charlie Kirk effect, whatever it is, or more people in the younger generation are going to church.
This is what we see in study after study, that young adults lead the way, with nearly half of Gen Z and millennials now engaging in scripture weekly. For specifically Gen Z and millennial men, it's over half for the first time in a decade. You go, men. Good job.
I saw this week an article come out saying that Gen Z is obsessed with Catholicism. They're like, well, if I'm going to go to church, I want it to be like really, really formal. I think they feel like they're getting something more out of that. So like the Catholic Church is growing a lot.
Not really.
Not really is right. The problem with all this is it's simply not true. As I reported in Salon in January, Gen Z is the least religious generation. The General Social Survey shows that 43% of them say none when they're asked about religious affiliation. Pew Research shows that 44% of people under 30 also say none. That's twice the rate of people ages 50 to 64 and almost 3 times the rate of people over 65. One poll did claim that there is a religious resurgence, and it had to be withdrawn due to fraud. The Catholic press has been hyping this alleged surge of converts, but there's good reasons to be skeptical. They did that in the UK too, until a sociologist pointed out that Catholic church attendance has been down in nearly every diocese. Clearly, they are desperate for young people to convert. But they can't get there by talking about Jesus. Boring. But demons, witches, and Satan? Now you're talking. Demons get attention. Satan is sexy. Witchcraft is a hot topic on social media. I mean, I saw JD's comments and I couldn't wait to do a video about demons. Maybe I do like Satan. I'm not too worried about it in this particular case. You can scare people for a minute with this talk about the occult. But ultimately, the reasons that young people reject organized religion haven't changed. Because of Republicans, many in Gen Z associate Christian churches with homophobia, climate denial, sexism, and other right-wing nonsense. Without deeper changes, I just don't think Christianity is getting the young folks. As for helping JD win in 2028, well, let's just say Satan himself can't give that man charisma. My guest this week is Taylor Lee. She is the host of the Antibot YouTube channel, and she's an ex-evangelical and a practicing Satanist.
Well, thank you so much for having me on. It's really great to actually talk to you face to face.
The right uses people like you all the time to scare folks. So I want to start by asking, is there any misconceptions about Satanism that you would like to clear up right now?
Yeah, there's a lot of misconceptions about Satanism. I think from the general public, the biggest one is the idea that Satanists believe in or worship the devil. And there are theistic Satanists. That is a thing. And they are Satanists who do believe that the devil exists. But I would say the majority of Satanists, including myself, are either non-theistic or atheistic. So they don't believe the supernatural realm exists. Or in my case, I don't claim that the supernatural realm exists, but I don't think that it doesn't either. I kind of think the question of whether or not the supernatural realm exists or God or Satan, I feel like that's kind of the least interesting question when it comes to religion.
So you personally have a really interesting backstory. You grew up as a Christian missionary in a Christian missionary family. The first clip I want to show you is about that because it's about Charlie Kirk talking about Christian missionaries in Haiti. And
okay.
Yeah. So I thought I would love to hear your opinion on it.
Okay, awesome.
Talk to missionaries that have gone to Haiti, and they will rock your world about the idea of possession. Why is that? Half of Haitian culture still practices witchcraft. Actively, witchcraft and the occult is the most active per capita in the country of Haiti.
Okay. Wow. My first impression of this is that this is just blatant racism. That's all this is. It's interesting because I'm assuming he's referring to indigenous spiritual practice of Haitians, and that would not typically fall within, the occult. The occult is very much like a Western framework. I think for a lot of Christians like this, and especially Charlie Kirk, they tend to paint anything that's slightly spooky or they don't really understand it, or especially the indigenous spiritual practices. They tend to paint those with a broad brush and say that they're all the occult, they're all evil, they're all Satanism. And I think that that is an effective way for them to maintain this us versus them narrative with, them being on the side of good and everyone else being on the side of evil and Satan.
Yeah, to your point about it being racist, I was joking with my producers beforehand that I can walk outside of our studio here in New York and find 15 psychics peddling their wares in the neighborhood. So the notion that magic is like some crazy thing that Haitians are doing and we should all be scared. It's like kind of everyone does magic.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm a firm believer that, if you look at Christianity, there's a lot of magic that happens in the Bible. Jesus, you can consider him to be a magician. There's even ancient artwork that depicts him with a magic wand. So I think, what is considered religion versus magic is very, I think, informed by racism or just bigotry.
One of the things I do want to kind of follow up on with that, though, is you hear this kind of rhetoric and you hear him saying like Haitians practice witchcraft and worship the devil is kind of the implication. And when you see religious right activists like Charlie Kirk was and the ones that are working now, how are they using this fear of Satanism, this fear of witchcraft to sell Christianity to young people?
It's very much feeding into this kind of black and white us versus them narrative. And they have this, especially evangelical Christians. I know this because I grew up in evangelicalism. They have this notion that there's a grand supernatural battle that's happening between good and evil. And they're on the side of good and everyone else is on the side of evil. And I think that when you have an enemy, which is, the occult, Satanism, anything spooky that you can have your group rally around, that's a really effective motivator to keep people on your side and keep people engaged in what you're doing. And I think that is really what Charlie Kirk and Turning Point have done and are continuing to do. Everything for them is very much we're on the good side, we're on the right side, and anyone that disagrees with us is on the side of evil.
Yeah, it must feel very romantic, right? To feel like you're battling Satan and you're battling demons.
People want to people do want to feel that. They want to feel like they mean something and that their lives are having a direct impact. And unfortunately, I think for evangelicals, and especially straight white male evangelicals, they've really been sold this idea that to have any value or to have meaning in their life, they have to be the heroes in not only their story, but everyone else's story.
The second clip I want to show you, two women that you actually first brought my attention to, and I did some reporting on with your help. And they are the Girls Gone Bible. They're a couple of Hollywood Christian influencers that really do try to reach a young audience. And they talk about demons a lot. So we had so many things to look for. But this clip I really want to show you because it's one of them talking about being at a Weekend concert.
Okay.
I went to the Weekend concert a few years ago, probably 3 years ago. And I will never forget being in there and the first song coming up and being like, this is actually a satanic ritual and this is the scariest thing I've ever experienced, and I left. I don't, and then that was probably the last time I really went to a concert, because I realized that like there are demonic forces at work in a lot of these things.
Of course.
That's interesting. I would like to know the details of that. What exactly about the concert made it satanic? Because I've seen some clips on TikTok and just like social media in general of people talking about the weekend specifically and showing their concerts and claiming that it's all a satanic ritual and it's demonic. And like the only proof that I'm seeing for that is the fact that they use some like red lights in the stage production, and it's a little more like dark and stuff like that. So what makes something satanic? Is it simply having like a dark vibe? Does that make something satanic? Because Satanism is an actual religious tradition that has practice.
Yeah, there's this piece of it where they do sort of bring this like I was lost and now I'm found kind of narrative, the reformed sinner thing to their podcast. And they do kind of tell stories like this that are actually pretty innocent. I was at a weekend concert, but they make it sound like it was the scariest thing in the world. And I kind of wonder if the only people I think who buy this are like teenagers who've probably never been to any concert.
Yeah. It reminds me of one of their videos. I think it was one of their videos really early on. They were talking about seeing a poster for the new Exorcist movie, or I guess the last one that came out, and they were freaking out about that and said they could like feel the demonic energy or something like that just from seeing the poster. And I'm just like, you got that scared over seeing a poster? And, you know, The Exorcist is actually, it's a Christian movie. So
yeah, the priests are the heroes.
Yeah, exactly. It's a very pro-Catholicism movie. So I just found that really funny.
All right. So this last clip I want to show you. You know who George Janko is.
I do.
Yeah. So for our audience who doesn't know, he's this comedian. He pushes right-wing Christianity. Would you call him a Christian nationalist?
I would say he borders on that.
Yeah,
for
there's
sure.
Identity politics for sure in this. Anyway, we found a really fun clip. I won't show you most of it because he's telling the story of this demonic experience he had when he was interning at a recording studio. His descriptions of it is he hears kids playing, but he doesn't see any kids. And then he hears a pool table breaking, but then it actually wasn't broken. And then he sees a lamp swaying in the studio. And so he puts on this tape of this preacher named Joyce Myers. And this is...
Yes, I'm vaguely familiar with her. I think she's like a prosperity gospel preacher.
She certainly looks like one. But this is what happens after he puts on a tape of this woman preaching.
I'm saying my prayer, and it's still freaking me out. I'm starting to hear the kids again, and I'm like, dude, this is not okay. So I play Joyce Myers, and from my proof of vision, above the pool table, the lamp just keeps swinging from back and forth. But this is a thick lamp, dude. It's like those beautiful lamps. And I'm listening to Joyce Myers, bro, and I'm like, please, Joyce, and she says one line. She goes, "You have dominion over demons. Never forget." Jeez. And I look at the thing, and it's swinging, and I go, "In the name of Jesus, stop!" And it freezes like this. Now, I don't know if you know about gravity, but it ain't supposed to do that.
So,
what? I mean, my first thought is like, if demons want to mess with you, why are they making a chandelier sway back and forth? Like, why aren't they doing something to you? Like, that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, these stories about Satan and demons always like coming after people in modern times always blow my mind because it's like, that's all he did? He's like the Prince of Darkness. Set something on fire at least.
Yeah, do something that would actually I would think if demons and Satan are real and they actually want to hurt people, that they would try to hurt people, not like just make a chandelier swing. And also like the way he's describing stuff to me sounds like it was ripped straight from a horror movie. Like you're just describing like The Conjuring. Like that's it.
Yeah. Yeah, and so here's the thing. I did not grow up religious, but I did grow up in a very conservative community. And I remember how many times evangelicals would tell me stories like this, that they saw like demons or they saw these spooky stuff and they like prayed it away. And you did grow up around like as an evangelical. So I want to ask, are they lying?
George Janko might be lying. Other evangelicals, I think that these experiences do feel real to them. I know growing up as an evangelical, I had my own, experiences with the demonic. There was one time where it was me and my sister and a bunch of our friends, and we were walking around a cemetery at night, which is, as young folks, that's probably not the best idea. But one of our friends started freaking out and said that she saw the ghost of her dead dad come back. And, that freaked me and my sister out. And like for the rest of the night, I thought it was a demon and I thought I was being followed by a demon. And that experience felt very, very real to me. Did I ever actually see a demon or, anything of that nature, a ghost, an apparition? No, I didn't, but the experience of it still felt real.
Yeah, another inconsistency is, like you said, he's kind of pushes himself as a recent convert, and yet in this story, he's an intern at a recording studio, and yet still somehow knows how to pray and cast out demons.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Like before his conversion, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, for sure.
Awesome. So I think this is a good place to leave it, Taylor. This has been fantastic, but please hype yourself for the audience. Tell them what your socials are, how to follow you, how to watch your YouTube channel.
Yeah, so you can follow me on YouTube at The Antibot. I try to post every week, and my Instagram is Taylor_the_antibot. And those are the two main places I post.
Awesome. Thank you so much. This has been great.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
And thank you all for watching. And don't forget to like and subscribe if you want to see more videos like this one. And stick around for Encore. I have an on-topic song recommendation of the week for you. Hey folks, coming to you from Latchkey Records. That's my partner's record store here in Philadelphia. And I am so excited about the song recommendation of the week because it is from Are We Not Men, We Are Devo. This is a Rhino reissue. It is limited edition, only 5,000 copies, brick and mortar store only. This is definitely like a top 5 album for me of all time. It's one of the most important albums of my life. Devo is my favorite band. This is their first album. It's hard to even wrap my mind around how seminal this album is in my life. I liked Devo in high school, but I got into them deep into college, and that's when I bought this CD originally. I've seen them play probably 15 times, which is wild because they're old, but they tour a lot, actually. You'd be surprised. But the song I want to recommend from it is called Praying Hands. It is the 3rd track on this album. I want to recommend it first because all the deep cuts of Devo are as great as the hits. And it's a weird and funky, like, just silly little song that they just tossed off. And yet I think about it all the time. It's just got a great little melody and just great instrumentation. And it is also, like a lot of Devo stuff, kind of like coyly, like satirical. It is kind of making fun of religion, but in this like abstract way that is kind of hard to put your finger on. And yet is part of their larger view that culture, religion, institutions, everything is kind of failing us in the modern era, which was how they started in the 70s. And I think that their view that things are falling apart slowly has only proven to be more true 50 years later. So yeah, Are We Not Men, We Are Devo is produced by Brian Eno. It's just, I could never, I could say a million things about this record, but check it out. Check out Rhino Records reissue slate. It's so awesome. If you want more Standing Room Only episodes, please click the subscribe button below. Standing Room Only started as a newsletter, and it's free to read. Click the link to subscribe. I love tips. These political battles are playing out in your communities, your towns, your neighborhoods, your schools. If you have a story, please drop me a line or leave it in comments.